Oh guys, you will love what I have for you right here. Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for a premature episode of Starmade. In the previous episode we did have a look at the new features in the latest update. There already has been a patch which took care of a few minor bugs that actually occurred. I didn't experience any of the bugs myself so far, but it's still good if the updates come frequently and things get patched as soon as they are recognized. However, I did ask you guys to actually give me a bunch of suggestions as to what we could try out with the new systems, the new features, especially the rail system and the new docking feature. And you guys have come up with a bunch of ideas. I picked out a few comments that I actually want to try out in today's episode. And the first thing that definitely caught my attention was to actually build a retractable turret that kind of pops out of the ground as soon as you need it. You can just activate it by pressing a button and then it will open up the ground for you. A turret will come out and it will be fully functional, hopefully. Another big project that I want to launch where we can actually incorporate a lot of your ideas is some kind of a industry / mining facility with lots of moving parts, with lots of automation, lots of decorative, rotating stuff, and so on and so forth. And one last thing that I definitely also want to try out is to have some kind of a contraption where I can dock a small ship and it will be automatically carried into the hangar without me having to do anything. So it's kind of a more secure way in order to dock your ship within ships. So you are kind of directed through the railing system into the next free hangar. And as soon as someone reaches a hangar, this hangar will be closed and therefore the next ship would be going into the next hangar. So yeah, these are the ideas that I want to kind of figure out today. So give me a few minutes in order to set myself up and I'll be right back. Alright guys, in this first part of the video we are gonna try to kind of make an automatic door where a turret may come forth once we activate a button. I'm not entirely sure how we are gonna achieve that, but I have some ideas that we could go for. So of course we want to place our first rail somewhat like this, and down below right here I want a turn block, but this block needs to turn into the other direction. Let's see if we can manage to do that. Yeah, there we go. It turns into the left direction right here, and here it goes down. You will see why that is useful in just a second. Let's also set up some logic actually. So I think I'm gonna start setting up my logic right here. We want to place one of these rails that we just placed before, and we want to place one of those guys. Is that... No, that's not the same one. We want this guy right here. So it is the exact same as right here. Maybe we're gonna place it one more to the right so that we can place two activation modules right here in the center. And of course this activation module automatically connects to the rail right here, and therefore this one to the turn block. I don't really have to make the connections other than from the activation module to the block that I want to change. So now I hooked those two guys up with C and V respectively, and now as soon as I press the button, the rail right here will be triggered and this rail will switch into whatever rail has been next to the activation switch. So theoretically I could also hook this one up right here, and if I activate it, there you go, it turned into a turn block, and if I activate this one again, it turns into the rail right here. However, we want to hook up this block right here so that we can always switch it back to this stage. Now of course, in order to coordinate this a little bit better, we are gonna use a button which is gonna be hooked up to those two guys. This is gonna be kind of the opening mechanism. Maybe we could even have the button on the top eventually, but for now that shall be good. Now of course, for this to work absolutely magnificently we also need the opposite. So let's make sure that we are placing the opposite possibility as well. So now the rail is pointing upwards and the rotation is clockwise. We can place the two activation modules right here and make sure they are hooked up to their block that they want to change. And last but not least, a button which is hooked up to both of these guys. And now I have the possibility to always switch. So if you have a look at those two guys, if I press this button, they will switch upwards. And if I press this button, they will switch downwards. Oh yeah, I still have this one hooked up. I forgot to unlink it. No, I didn't forget. It doesn't let itself unlink. That is too bad. That's so weird. I can unlink the lower one, as you can see, but I cannot unlink the upper one. So maybe I do experience a few bugs at least. So let's just go ahead and remove this block. Oh, look at that. Even the empty space is marked. That is an unusual error. The marker actually disappeared, so that is good. Okay, now everything should be correct. I can switch like this, and I can also switch upwards. Yeah, everything is working. Brilliant. Okay, now let's place another block right here and kind of close this off. And now we have to make the door. So let's get out of the build block, or the ship core in our case, and we are gonna create another ship. Gonna get inside of it into the build mode, and what we are gonna need, of course, is have a look at how we actually want to do it. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have like the core right here and the docking module on the top. So this is the front of the core. I'm gonna grab myself one of these rail dockers, and we want to place it on the top so that the rails are pointing downwards, somewhat like this. Oh yeah, and dock ourselves to this block. No, this is not what I wanted. I wanted it just the other way around. Okay, let's try this again. What I want to end up with is that the docking module is on the top and the core is right here. So let's try it the other way. We're gonna place the docking module at the bottom, and we're gonna dock again from the same angle, like this. Okay, this time it worked kind of out. Yeah, finally. Okay, we kind of did it. So now I can actually show you the opening and closing mechanism a little bit better. As soon as we open the door, this happens. Oh yeah. And when we close it, this happens. Isn't that just... oh god, I love it. Let's make the door out of black hole. That should be good. And we want to make sure that we don't hit this block. We want to place them adjacent to the door blocks, because of course they will be placed on a different contraption. Okay, there we go. The door is finished. Let's have a look down below, and we are actually gonna press a button and see it opening. Let's press this button, and oh my god, it works! It freaking works! Close. Oh yes. Now let's get another button right here. Let's say this here is opening and this is closing. It doesn't really matter to me. We're just gonna hook them up. Okay, both are hooked up. Now we can have a look at the show from the top. This is the opening and this is the closing. Okay, so far so good. What we could think about is actually make this a double door so that we don't have to build like the turret way down for the door to have space to open. We would only require like half of the space, and it would maybe also look a little bit cooler. So yeah, that's definitely one thing we could do. We could like cut it apart in the center and have the same contraption on the other side, and therefore we wouldn't have to build the turret too far down. But yeah, let me just finish that idea. I just wanted to run you through a few concepts and ideas, and I'll check back on you in just a second. Okay guys, I've been at it for just a little bit, and I think I've figured out a way in order to do it. Right now it is a little bit chaotic with the logic. There's a lot of cables just hanging around occasionally. The turret design is not very thought through. It's just, you know, a basic example to show you the idea. And of course, if I would make this on the mothership, then we would have to make this a lot bigger. This is just a very tiny, small example, but let me first show you how it actually works, and after that we're gonna have a look at what is happening behind the scene. So what is supposed to happen is that first the right or the left door, I'm not sure, one of them will open first. After that, the turret, which we have right here, will be turning itself around and going up the hole, getting itself ready to fire. On the other hand, when we press the red button with the lava block, then the turret will first retract itself. It will be going down, turning around the way it is right now again, and after that the doors will shut. So why don't we just go ahead and see this happen? I'm gonna press the activation first. Lots of cables which are basically ugly, but you can see the concept. It basically works. The turret is right here and ready to shoot. Of course, this is a functional turret. We can just hop into the upper arm of the turret and it is actually facing upwards by default. But as you can see, we have a really nice position to actually shoot. We have all the 360 freedom that you want in a turret. And of course we can press C in order to get it into position again. So right now it is facing upwards again, as you can see. So now of course we also have to retract it. So let's press this button right here and you can see the turret will be going down first and turn around, and after the delay right here the doors are closing and we have a nice surface again. Yeah, right here, those were the two blocks I was talking about. I cannot fill these gaps out because otherwise the contraption cannot turn around. One thing that we could do is maybe build something like that. This might actually work out. Let's try this out. We're gonna retract it and it is still capable of turning around, so that is perfect. You know, just to make it a little bit more beautiful, we could have like an encasement all the way around. This should still work, shouldn't it? Oh my gosh, this will look cool if it works out. Let's see it happen. Yeah, the doors are opening and the turret is coming out. There you go, guys. How do you like that? Let's retract it once again just to see the sheer beauty of it. And the doors should be closing. There we go, and we have a nice and smooth surface once again. There you go, guys. This is what I meant. So many more things are now possible. Now, before we pursue the next idea, I just quickly want to show you what is actually happening. I already explained to you how we open the doors. The way I made the turret is simply by having a track which leads all the way down around the corner right here. It is turning 180 degrees and going up once again into its storage position, which is right here. So when I press this button right here, all of these activation modules will be activated, therefore changing all of the tracks to the position they are right now. And the button right here, of course, does the opposite. It will switch all the tracks so that it makes the opposite, going down right here, turning 180 degrees and going up right here once again. At the same time, I'm activating delay blocks and they're just going through here until enough time has passed, and the final delay block right here, you can already see it is connected up to the module right here, which then is taking care of the first part, the doors. And of course I had to make a slight delay with the doors too. They cannot go down at the same time, otherwise they will get into each other's way and will not be able to turn. So I made one door go down 2 delay blocks earlier. And yeah, I think you get the basic gist with this. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments and I will help you. So as a next idea, I thought we could pursue the theory of actually docking a ship in front of the hangar, and the system will then automatically take care of the ship being brought into a free hangar space, the next free hangar space available. So we're gonna have like an array of small hangar spaces, and whenever we park a ship, then it will be brought to the next free one, and I believe using logic this should be totally possible. Oh guys, you will love what I have for you right here. I'm not sure what I said before because it is quite a few hours later of me trialing and erroring, but I think I have come with a concept, an idea that we could go for as a hangar in the mothership, for instance. Now, of course, we are only doing this in a small scale because we have to get the grasp of the concept first before we can build it in larger scales for larger ships. So right now my ships that I want to park are looking as such, and what I can do is just hop inside of it, use the beam, and then we get quickly outside and check out what is happening. It is entering the door and it is actually going backwards into the first kind of hangar bay. As soon as it arrived there, it will activate this switch right here, which will then turn this rail into a straight one, so the next ship that is coming in will be going to the next one. So let's actually see that happening for each of my modules. I'm just gonna hop outside side and I'm gonna park all of my ships. Okay, there we go. So the last of my ships arrived at the hangar bay, and you can see also this rail actually switched around. So we could continue this for as long as we wanted to. Now you can see there is a lot of chaotic stuff right here. It is actually pretty simple. The only thing I would have to do is arrange it a little bit more niftily so that the cables don't look as chaotic, but they are actually pretty structured. So what I can do is choose any of these 3 ships to be taken outside right here and made ready for me to actually drive away with it. Before I explain anything, let's just go ahead and choose the middle ship. I'm gonna activate this block. You can see it is moving outside, it is turning to the front, and it is going directly outside, not interfering with anything else. You can ignore these activation blocks, they don't do anything, but the last activation block actually initiates a reset so that we can determine which hangar bays are already full. And you can see now the one on the right side is still locked and the one on the left side is too. Only the one in the center is ready to intake another vessel. And just because I'm really lazy, I made myself a little contraption right here so that I can turn the vehicle and just bring it back as if we would have docked it ourselves. And there we go, we are moving forward, and it should of course be going into the center slot because this is the first one available. Now this is working with all of the various ships. I can just take the last ship right here and I can bring it outside. It will be parked and ready for me right there. And I could then also bring back another ship and it will be parked in the 3rd slot. So let's go through the logic a little bit. Now what you want to do is prepare something like that. You want to have each of the directions of the rails available next to an activation module, and you also want one of those guys available. I decided to make the ship turn in a way so that it is actually going backwards into the hangar bay instead of forwards. But you can do this however you please. Now let's see what happens when we activate this button right here. First and foremost, this button activates this activation module which is next to those rails, and you can see I have this set for each of the individual rails because they are actually changing something within each compartment, and all of these blocks right here are changing it globally. So no matter which button I press right here, all of these processes are going on anyways. Okay, so the first thing that happens is these rails are switching so that the contraption can move forwards. Also, after a small delay, as you can see here, this activation module is gonna change this slot right here into a block so that it will be moving and turning outside. At the same time, this button is also activating this module, which is getting all of these rails into the right direction, so the contraption, no matter from which compartment we've taken it, will be moving to the right. And last but not least, this activation module also initiates a chain of delay signals. Now this delay signal is just going all the way up here until we reach this signal, or this one rather, and it will be activating this guy, which will be resetting all of these tracks again to be going backwards. So if you remember, we had them going forwards in order to get the contraption out, and after a set amount of time it is changing back again into the default stage. So now everything is set up for the contraption to move outside. We don't have to really do anything, we just have to wait for it to reach the end of the line, and this is happening right here. Once it is going over here, it will activate this block, which is going into another delay signal. The delay signal is going into yet another delay signal, which is going into this block, and you can see this one here is just switching all of the rails except the very last one. I want my contraption to remain here. I don't want it to go back to the docking bay immediately. So I left this one out, but everything else will change into the default position so that we can dock another vessel. But not only will this delay block be activated, or this activation module, it will be going further up. You can see this one here is then changing this activation module, which of course is responsible to change stuff into this type of block and if we have a look, we are changing all of these corner pieces to be made as if the compartment is empty. So this is kind of a reset switch, but of course we cannot leave it at that. We need to have a check whether or not stuff is still in the compartment. We want to check that constantly and not dock two ships in the same dock, so the chain is even continuing. And you can see the last connection is made right here. This activation module right here will basically change the farthest rail so that the contraption is moving just one block to the front, and then it is going back immediately again and activating this guy, which then of course is determining whether or not this compartment is full or not. So yeah, I'm not sure if that explanation actually did the trick, but that's just how it is, and I couldn't think of a better way to articulate myself, but there you go. Let's just have a look at it a few more times. Right now we cannot dock anything because you can see the whole line is going to the right. Nothing is happening right now. We are just waiting for this block to actually arrive here, and after that you will be able to see the reset. You can see that those guys are changing, then we are checking whether or not the compartment is full, and it's kind of locking them up so that whenever we dock something else such as this, it will not be going inside. And yeah, of course, that is a little bit of a beauty mistake. When I turn around my vessel, it is going over this activation block once again, but that doesn't matter. It just does a little reset. Maybe that is even good. It does check if the ships that have been docked once they were brought to the compartment are still there. So maybe it's an additional level of security. We're making sure that there is really a ship docked right there and that there was no confusion. But oh guys, I just love figuring out stuff like that. I mean, look at it. It is just crazy beautiful what you can now do with that. I told you it is a total game changer, this new mechanics. I just love it. Look at the reset. Isn't it beautiful? The only thing we would have to do is of course arrange the logic in a more beautiful fashion and build the thing a whole lot larger so that it actually works with real ships and not just with the ship cores and a bunch of blocks attached. But yeah guys, I have to take a break now. Let me know what you think about that. Maybe that gave you some more ideas that you could put down in the comment section for future contraptions, maybe a bunch of hints and ideas. Don't comment on the compactness of the contraptions. Most of the time I'm going for the concept first, and after that we can take care of designs and compactness. But first we have to understand how stuff works, then we can improve it, then we can compact it. But yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed, have a great time, and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye bye.